Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is May 8th, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 86 of me answering your immigration related questions. As you can see, I have all your comments pulled up in front of me. As always, before starting this video, I'm going to mention I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information that I provide in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first comment from Gabriel Odonkor. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Does admission to a university in the USA by a beneficiary qualify for an expedited visa interview? Gabriel, thank you for your question. It's a really good question. Yes, absolutely. It is a reason, okay? It is a reason that is definitely valid enough for you to submit that expedited processing request with the NVC. The thing is that you have to keep in mind that you do need to meet a couple of criteria before you can apply for that expedited processing to be considered for the expedited processing. And that is documentarily qualified and also the availability of the immigrant visa. As long as you meet those criteria, whatever the reason is, and I mean, honestly, anybody who's waiting for, I-130 petition to be processed, literally anybody, they have a reason. Anybody and everybody, that is. They have a reason to submit that expedited processing request, as long as they meet those two criteria, documentarily qualified and the availability of the immigrant visa. By, judging by the visa bulletin, your immigrant visa should be available. It doesn't mean that you know for a fact that it is there, the embassy, it's waiting for you. No. What I mean is that if you look at the visa bulletin, if you see by the dates that your priority date is already due, the immigrant visa should be available, you are already documentarily qualified, these are two main criteria that are required to submit that expedited processing request. The reason why I say literally everybody has, as long as they meet those two criteria, a reason to submit the expedited processing request is because, I-130 petition is a family reunification petition. Okay, so it's the families that have been waiting, that have not seen each other potentially for a very, very long time. So when the family is separated, it is an emergency. There is already a reason for you, to apply for the expedited processing. But if you add on top of that, other additional reasons, like for example, in your case, you got accepted into the university. Obviously, there are certain deadlines that you have to meet, and you have to be present in order to meet them. Of course, that is another additional good reason for the consideration of NVC. Keep in mind, though, that whenever it comes to reviewing these expedited requests by the NVC, it is at their discretion, and a lot of them are denied, even if the reason looks really, really good to a person who requests. It is denied in a lot of cases, unfortunately. But it's still definitely worth a shot, as long as you know that you meet those two criteria, documentarily qualified and immigrant visa available. It's definitely a good idea to apply for it, because if it is approved, then great. Now you have expedited processing on your case. All right, so let me post this here, and we're gonna move on to the next question from Dennis Dufour. Dennis, thank you very much for another question. Appreciate it. Hi, sir. If I am in step 2, waiting for the step 3 to pay the fees, does that mean my case is with USCIS or the NVC? And priority date is March 2017, and visa class is F11. Okay, so Denise, I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question. So if you are waiting to pay the fees, obviously you pay the fees with USCIS. I am thinking though that you are referring to paying the fees with NVC and not with USCIS, because if you have not paid your fees with USCIS, then your petition wouldn't have been accepted, and you wouldn't even know what your class is. But you do know your class, so most likely you are already, approved by USCIS, and your case is transferred to the NVC, and you already have a login information for the NVC. But when you log in, you cannot do anything there. You just see, your category, your chargeability area, but you cannot pay the fees. What that means is that you are just waiting for the availability, closer to the availability of the immigrant visa. Unfortunately, at this point, there's really not much that you can do, but just be patient and wait until you have a full access to the NVC portal. As long as you provided the email, as long as they have your email on file, as soon as they open up the portal for you fully, not because you can log into the portal right now. It's just you cannot do anything there. You will get the email notification. Just be prepared. I don't know if you watched the video. If you haven't watched the video yet, check it out. I think it's going to be very helpful for you, especially because you are before that step, becoming documentarily qualified. The video is called Documentarily Qualified. What does it mean? Something along those lines. I posted it a few days ago, and in that video I show a real NVC portal that was already documentarily qualified. The person they already got their permanent residence card. It was a few years ago, so there I show all the all the forms that you need to fill out, all the fees that you need to pay, all the documents that you will have to submit. So for now, the only thing that you can do is just prepare as much as possible so that once you have full access to the NVC portal, you have everything ready, and just within few days, within a week, you submit everything, and then just wait for them to review your submission and get you documentarily qualified. So let me post this, and we're gonna move on to the next question from Fernanda Terran, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Good morning. If I need to change my status from B2 plus apply for F1, and I have 2 dependents, could you explain complete process? Then my husband have B2, but he is already here for 5 months, 7 days, and I can't find his I-94. Ooh, I see. Okay, so, all right, Fernanda. So you're looking at the correct application. That is the application that you need, I-539, because it is for the change of status or the extension of stay, either or, right? In your particular case, because you're on B2, which is the visitor for pleasure, it's a non-immigrant visitor visa, and you're planning to switch it to the student visa, F1, in that case, basically the process, the way it's going to work is you have to first be enrolled into the university, right? They give you all the necessary information. That I think is I-20. I've never been, I never dealt personally directly with the student visas or getting the student visa, but I know once you're accepted to the university for a specific program, they give you the I-20, you pay the service fee, you do a few things, basically kind of formalize your status as a student. Once you have that, you submit all of the documentation that shows that you are already enrolled in a certain program. You submit it with this I-539 form to change the status from B2 to F1. As for the dependents, you will be putting them also on that I-539, except you're not going to be filing the I-539 online. You will be filing I-539 by mail, because you will have to add to your application package I-539A, and you're going to be adding 2 of those for each dependent, because you said you have 2 dependents. So you're going to have one main I-539 for you, and then you will have 2 I-539A, and I'll show you where to find them in case if you're not familiar. I'll use this as an opportunity to show everyone the navigation on USCIS.gov website, which is official government website for US citizenship and immigration services. So here's how it looks. You can find this link in the description below. You're going to click on Forms at the very top of the navigation menu right here. Click on Forms, all forms, and then we're going to go to 539. You can scroll down, find it, or you can just type it in here. There you go. We're going to click on this, and as you can see, it's available to file online, but it's not going to work for you because you have dependents. When you do have additional people on your I-539, you have to file it by mail, at least as of right now. Hopefully they will change it eventually. That would be nice. But if you click on this drop down right here that says Forms and Documents, you will see there is I-539A, and that is basically a supplemental application for additional dependents that are on your main I-539. Now regarding your husband, he already been here for 5 months and 7 days. So most likely his duration, and that's the case most of the times, you know, when you enter the country, most of the times they give you duration of stay or I-94 for 6 months. So his deadline, his end of the duration of stay is coming up really close, in like 20 days. You are risking, you know, if obviously if you're talking about two dependents, I'm not sure if you include the husband in those two dependents or not, or what his plan is, because if you file the I-539 right now, you are kind of living at a chance, and there is a risk that, you know, obviously because you will definitely be waiting for the processing of I-539 longer than 20 days, especially because you're filing everything by mail and not by, you know, not online. So the processing will be a little bit longer because it's filed by mail. For the husband, there is a risk that his duration of stay is going to expire and you will still be waiting for that I-539 to be processed and approved. And obviously there is a risk involved that just in case, if something goes wrong with the application and if it is for whatever reason refused, denied, or something happens, now your husband is outside of the duration of stay, which means that he's here illegally, which is obviously not good. You can imagine how things can escalate. So, two recommendations. If you're not referring to your husband when you say two dependents, probably the best case scenario, if it is possible, would be for your husband to leave United States and then come back again in, you know, it can be a matter of few weeks, it can be a matter of few months, doesn't matter. Come back here and then get a new duration of stay for another 6 months and then not worry about it at all. But that's just a recommendation, because my recommendations, they come from the position of as less of a risk as possible. And there's always going to be risk whenever it comes to immigration process, whenever it comes to changing status, non-immigrant, and especially extension of stay, because right now they are quite delayed, and I know some people that have been waiting for like 5 months already, and it's ridiculous, because it means that just as soon as you come into the country, even if you start the process of extension immediately, you're still risking to be outside of your duration of stay by the time your application is whether approved or denied. And you definitely don't want to be in a position where your application is denied and you're still in the country and now you're outside of the duration of stay. And the very last thing I wanted to address regarding the I-94 of your husband. I-94, unfortunately, because the way they changed it to electronic version, but you know, it should have made things easier, but instead it made them worse, because now what we have is we have a very sensitive system. So in case if there's one letter that is off, there's a space somewhere, whatever, it doesn't match. And it obviously, however they enter in the airport, you can imagine, you know, there's people, how many people enter the airport in a day. Obviously they will make a mistake in a name that is foreign to them. Possible, right? A huge possibility of that. And if you enter, you know, not what they entered online, it doesn't come up. So I do have a video specifically on how to retrieve a lost I-94 that you cannot retrieve on CBP website. You would have to reach out to CBP and get it through them. But that would be the best, you know, the best way to go about it. I do have a video that explains on how to retrieve that lost I-94. And if you have any follow-up questions, let me know. Just for everyone who's watching my videos, please don't respond to my comment within your comment. Please submit a separate comment, because if you do respond to my comment within your comment, then I'm not gonna see it. For some reason, YouTube does not send me notifications. All right, let's move on to the next question comment from Floyd. Thanks a lot for answering my question. I have all the required initial evidence, except for the statement. The lawyer already submitted I-94, visa documents, etc., along with the I-589. Perfect. The video that you posted on writing a statement has been really helpful, and I'll finish writing it in the upcoming months. I'm really grateful. You've given me a lot of hope and taken a lot of anxieties off my chest. Thank you so much for creating this great channel once again, Floyd. I'm glad I was able to help, and I'm glad I was able to clarify things for you. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your positive, your kind comment as well. Let's move on to the next one from Muhammad Ashik Bakir Shah. Sorry if I mispronounced the name somewhere. Hi, can I apply asylum online from Pakistan? No, sir, unfortunately you can't. So one of the main requirements for the asylum is that you have to be present in the United States in order to apply for it. And that's basically the difference between the from the same family of people who are, trying to find the protection from persecution in the United States of America. We have asylees and we have refugees. With asylees, you have to be in the United States to apply for that protection. And for the refugees, you are applying from the country or from somewhere else outside of the United States. So if you are outside of the United States, then instead of looking at the asylum, you would have to look at the refugee programs. And whenever it comes to refugee programs, you have to find a program that is available, because the way it works, basically, if there is a country that is experiencing something, there's the distress in the country, there are these organizations that work, basically representing United States government sort of in these foreign countries, and they take the applications and they conduct the interviews, they conduct whatever, and through those refugee programs you have the ability to come into the United States with this protected status. So you have to look into those instead of asylum. Let me put this, and we're going to move on to the next one from Rada Gia Barber. Rada, by the way, thank you very much for being publicly subscribed. I really appreciate it. Rough estimate for March 10, 2008, all categories to become active for F4. All right, let's take a look. So F4 is brothers and sisters of US citizens. Let's take a look at the visa bulletin. We know it is all chargeability. We know it is 2008. So let's take a look at the priority dates. Right now it's showing February 2008. Wow. Okay, so that is, and you are March 2008. And right now it's February 2008. Wow, so you're literally like within like the next month, Red. So congratulations. I mean, you've been waiting for a very long time now, since 2008. Since 2008, that is 16 years. 16 years you've been waiting. That is crazy. That is a very long time. So just one more month, and I'm thinking you probably already received the login information from for the NVC portal, and you can log in, but it might not be fully open to you where you can submit all of the documents, pay all the fees, fill out the affidavit of support, so far so forth. So I will give you the same exact recommendation that I gave to Dennis earlier in this video. Check out the video that I've made on documentarily qualified. Again, I think it's called documentarily qualified. What does it mean, or what does it entail? Something along those lines. I've posted it a few days ago. And there I show the real documentarily qualified NVC portal. So check it out. I show what kind of documents are required, what basically it involves. Just try to prepare as much as possible, because within literally the next month you should be getting a full access to the portal, and it should be open for you to become documentarily qualified. And if you're not, then definitely make sure. In fact, you can, if you want to, you can submit it now or within the next couple weeks. Submit it the public inquiry with the NVC, and just follow up with them. Say, hey, I've been waiting for so long. My visa bulletin is coming up. My priority date according to the visa bulletin is coming up within a month, but I still don't have a full access to the NVC portal, and I was wondering when it's going to be opened up. Let me actually show you how to do that, the public inquiry form. You can do it now, or you can do it in a month if you still don't have the access to the NVC portal. So this is the link that you're going to be using. It is the link for the visa bulletin. You can find it in the description below of this video. You will see this once you click on it. And from there you can click on contact us right here at the very top. I'm going to open it in a new tab. And then we're going to go to US visa contacts. And then you'll scroll down a little bit. You will see this table. We're going to click on public inquiry form. Scroll down a little bit more, and then you will see online public inquiry form. Click on that, and you will have the public inquiry form. You'll put your NVC case number here, your beneficiary's name, full name, beneficiary's date of birth, petitioner's full name, who are you, beneficiary, petitioner, email address, and then in your inquiry, just be professional, be polite, say, hey, I wanted to follow up, see what's going on my case. So let me post this, and we're gonna move on to the next question from Stumpy Longnose Jason. Thanks for this video. You're very welcome. I'm from Philippines now, a US citizen. Petitioned my son February 2011. My son was documentarily qualified June 2021. I can see the final action date for F1 is already March 2012. How long more does have to wait for his interview approximately? Thank you for your response. Okay, so you petitioned in February 2011. That is the priority date. Let's take a look. Since your son is already documentarily qualified, let me close this. We're going to look at the graph A, and graph A, let's see, is showing, you said its F1 date is March 2012. Okay, so this is 2014 is showing. Philippines, right? You said you're from Philippines. That's why. March 2012. Okay, so March 2012 is showing right now here, and you have petitioned in February 2011. Wow. You have petitioned February 2011, documentarily qualified in June 2021. So you are definitely almost a whole year over this date. Stumpy Longhose knows. Sorry, I definitely recommend you. Let me ask you a follow-up question first. Have you experienced any delays in your case? Have you experienced any delays with becoming documentarily qualified? And what I mean by that is, you submit all of your documents, and then they review it, and then they come back and say, oh, we need more documents, or the sponsor that you provided maybe is not enough, or maybe we're missing your W-2, or something along those lines. Have you had any of those delays on your case? Because your priority date is almost a year before what it is showing right now on the graph A for the documentarily qualified people. In Philippines, it's March 2012, which is almost a year. Not almost a year, it's a year and 1 month. Is it? No, it's almost a year. Anyway, my math is horrible, so don't pay attention to that. A year. You're a year already ahead of, so it should have been, basically what I'm saying is you should have had it done, your interview and everything in immigrant visa like a year ago. So if there were any delays, that might have caused this problem. I would definitely recommend reaching out to the NVC, submitting that public inquiry form. That's number one. If they respond to this public inquiry form and the response is not satisfactory to you, if it's not detailed, if it's boilerplate, just saying, oh, we're still processing, or your visa is still not available, because it should be available according to their own source, their own visa bulletin. Visa should already be available for your son. If you get an unsatisfactory response from them, submit an expedited processing request with the NVC. I have a video on this channel on how to do that. And also, independently of those two things, I would recommend you can do it today. Call US Embassy in Philippines, or have your son call US Embassy in Philippines that that he's going to be going to in order to get the immigrant visa, and see if he can get any information from them directly. Just, again, be polite, be professional. If he calls, tell him to be polite, be professional, and don't be upset if they don't give him any information, because it's at their discretion. They can say, no, we can't give you that information, but sometimes, in some cases, they are nice enough in order to look up their schedule and say, oh yeah, we are, experiencing still backlog from whatever, most likely pandemic. That might be another thing. But again, I think it should have been updated. Again, we will see in the next couple months, June, July, visa bulletin comes out. Maybe these dates will adjust. Maybe this is not updated for us yet to know for sure. And it most likely is. But by a whole year, I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical of, the whole year being. So unless you had a delay that caused you to wait extra year, I don't know, this is really strange. So I would definitely recommend doing those, and if you can come back and let us know what happened, that would be really, really helpful. All right, let's move on to the next one from Halim Mubashir. After reaching US on a student visa, is it possible to convert it into work visa? How much does it cost? How long does it take for this conversion? Is it possible to convert into work visa? Yes, Halim. So yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do that. Most of the times, it is, with a work visa, here's the difference, right? With the work visa is not as much as what you have to do, although, well, here's the thing. What you are doing, right, is you're applying for these positions with these employers. If they are willing to sponsor an international employee and they hire you, that is the most of what you had to do. All the stuff with the visa, with filing to USCIS and the Department of Labor that is involved into basically petitioning for an international employee, it's up to employer now to do. So if they're willing to do that, you really don't have to deal much with USCIS. You really just need to find an employer who will hire you and who will basically sponsor your work visa. That's really it. As to how much it costs, it really depends on what type of the visa it is. Again, it will depend on your employer, and a lot of times it is the employer that pays these fees and not the actual the employee that they're hiring, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who benefit more from hiring the international employee. Yes, of course, for a foreign employee, it might be great. It is great because now you're getting a work visa status. Now you have employment authorization, social security, so far so forth. You have an opportunity to become petition for an immigrant visa now with the employer. But still, at the end of the day, the employer, that's why they hire international employees, because they benefit more on a larger scale. And as for how long this conversion takes, like any other usual process, like for example change of status or extension, it can take anywhere between few months and 6 months, half a year. So it really depends. Probably the hardest part of this whole process is not even how much it costs or if it's hard or if it's but actually finding the employer that is willing to do all of that for you. All right, let's move on to the next one from Kamran Amiri. This is very helpful. Thank you, Kamran. I'm glad you find it helpful. So just to clarify, my brother's priority date F4 category is March 14, 2009. Since current final action date is April 2007 and date for filing is February 2008, are you saying there is no way to expedite it? They live in Iran and there is major hardship for them since I have been politically active again, the Iranian government, and they have found out about it. They are now arresting, harassing, threatening, and sexually abuse his daughter in the... Wow. Thanks for your time. Wow, Kamran, I'm really sorry that, your brother is... This is horrible. Man. It is one of the criteria that NVC explicitly says on their website that you do have to be documentarily qualified and the immigrant visa has to be available in order for them to consider the expedited processing. In this situation, unfortunately, you might not get even a response, but I would still recommend submitting that expedited request. And honestly, in this particular situation, because it's really, really serious situation, on top of requesting that expedited, even though you don't, meet the criteria that they specify, I would recommend reaching out to your local elected officials here in the United States. your state senator, your state representatives, right? House of Representatives, whoever it is that you find. Maybe you know somebody personally, especially if you are politically active, you probably do. And ask them on behalf, so that they're on their behalf, on behalf of their office, they reach out to NVC, they reach out to the Department of State, and I don't remember the word, what was the word for it. But basically, when somebody who has an elected official status on behalf of the petitioner or on behalf of the applicant, they reach out to these government organizations like USCIS and the Department of State, NDC, whatever, and ask them on behalf of you to process that petition faster, because there is this circumstance that really calls for the faster processing. And see and hope that will work. Yeah, definitely do that. Submit the expedited request with NVC, and then reach out to your local elected officials and ask them to help you with this, because yeah, it's definitely an emergency, and it definitely needs to be addressed. Come around, and if you can, please come back to this channel, and it would be good to know the progress of whether you were able to accomplish any progress with this. All right, let's address the last question for today from Cleo K. 450 priority date is August 15, 2016. Documentarily qualified February 7, 2023, Jamaica. All right, Cleo, congratulations on becoming documentarily qualified. That is definitely a huge milestone to accomplish. So let's take a look at the visa bulletin and see if I can give you any decent. Well, actually, I don't know which. I don't really know which category you're in. Let's see if I can maybe guess by the 16. So I'm thinking probably either F2B or no, never mind. I'm thinking either F1 or F2B, maybe F2A. Okay, Cleo, if you can come back and let me know which category you're in, whether it is, U.S. citizen petitioning for the beneficiary, or permanent resident petitioning for the beneficiary, and who is the beneficiary, whether they're a child of the petitioner, whether they are a spouse, whether they're over 21, under 21, and I would be able to give you some rough estimates. So thank you everyone for tuning in for today. Really appreciate your time, appreciate your questions. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.